Ain't no half stepping with Marcus J is live and in color, people. We got a hot show for y'all tonight, all kinds of stuff. We got a special guest in the building. We all happy to see her up in here. We talking all kinds of stuff. Aaron Hernandez, George Zimmerman, Paula Dean, and a whole bunch of other stuff. Ain't no half stepping Marcus J is right now.
Yeah. It's about that time. It's about that time to get.
Button your lip, open your ears, strap on your thinking cap. Socially conscious talk that's entertaining with a dash of humor and the top sports stories of the week. It's time for Ain't No Half Steppin' with Marcus J.
Sellers has Jordan. Jordan with 2 seconds to go. Puts it up and scores at the buzzer. Michael Jordan has won it for Chicago. Manning lobs it. Burris alone. Touchdown, New York.
Down goes Frazier. Down goes Frazier. Down goes Frazier. He hits one deep to right center. That ball is out of here. The Yankees win the pennant.
If they lying,
then they must be half stepping.
Ain't no half stepping with Marcus J is live, y'all. Get down with us, 804-402-2893. Be down with the flagship show on Legacy Internet Radio. Ain't no half stepping with Marcus J. Heard right here every single Monday from 7 to 9. MixLR, Loud City, Winamp, Shoutcast, any number of places that you can be down with the flagship show of Legacy Internet Radio, heard right here live from the den. We're so happy that you guys are here with us tonight. Thank you so much for being down with us. It's because of y'all that we continue to do this. So I'm thankful to be able to do this. I got a special guest in the building. I got one of the hosts of another show in the building. I got one of my main men in the building tonight. So I'm definitely happy and glad to be able to produce Ain't No Half Stepping Marcus J. Be down with us, 804-402-2893, to be part of the discussion. Tonight we're going to talk about some stuff in the National Basketball Association. We've got some hot stove, as they use that term in baseball, but in basketball it's just basically called the NBA free agency period. So we're going to talk about that. I got a question that I'm also going to ask about the National Football League. Are these people predisposed to violence? And I'm going to get into that. I want to ask that question. We got What the Hell? Carlton Banks is going to ask, what do you think about it? And we're obviously going to talk a little bit about what's going on in Sanford, Florida with the Trayvon Martin, George Zimmerman case. So we got a live show. We got a hot show. We got a busy show for y'all tonight. We're definitely glad to have you here. So at this time, we're going to go around the room and introduce the crew. And starting with my main man on my right-hand side. You heard him a few minutes ago with my intro. We got Carlton Banks in the building. What's up, bro?
Not much, man. I'm chilling. I'm doing good today. Doing good,
man.
All that rain outside, though, is kind of...
I'm about over it myself. I'll be honest with you.
You all over it?
Yeah, I'm over it. I'm over it. I don't want to see the rain. I don't want to see, because the more it rains, the more often I got to cut grass.
Yeah.
And that kind of annoys me. You know what I mean? So, I just...
But don't you have a riding mower?
No, I wish I did, but
okay.
No, I don't have a rod mower, but I got to get behind that. It's self-propelled. I'm not a big dude, so I'm not trying to be like, pushing that son of a gun through my whole acre yard. Because I cut all my tree. I'm from Jersey, man. We don't do leaves.
I don't push a lawnmower either. I mean, self-propelled, but see, this is what they call that hill.
Yeah,
it don't really work well on that hill.
No, I ain't feeling it. But we're gonna move along and continue with our greetings. And I tell you, my guest tonight, I am so happy and pleased to have, because normally I would be giving her a shout out on the MixLR page or the Legacy Internet Radio page or somewhere in Cyberville. Like, I'd be talking to her through my computer while I'm doing the show. But I got in the building with us tonight, I got the number one fan of Legacy Internet Radio. I got S.Y. Butler in the building. What's going on, girl?
What's going on, Mark?
How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing fabulous. It's good to see you. She fine, y'all, too, by the way. Y'all should know that she fine. And we get to hang out with her, and y'all just get to hear her. We get to see her, so we all happy about that. But seriously, you doing all right?
I'm good. I'm a little shaky, but I'm good.
Yeah, you ain't got to be shaky. You ain't got to be shaky. I know Carlton Banks creeps everybody out, but once you get used to him.
Hey, man, Ruben.
Yeah, that's right. But Ruben is the lover, though.
Yeah,
oh my God!
Still, his approval rating ain't that high.
Yeah, that's true. His approval rating, and maybe that's the reason why we had to put him on a summer hiatus.
Yeah,
that's why we ain't seen him in a little while. But we'll have Big Rube back later on. At a later time, but I'm definitely glad to have you. Thank you so much for agreeing to join us. You're certainly welcome anytime, and I might be calling you more than you want me to call you, but
that's all right.
We'll talk about that throughout the show. Ain't no how Steppin Markets J is live from the Den Legacy InternetRadio.com. Of course, it's time at this time to get into a little bit of National Basketball Association. I don't have JR or K-Dub, but I'm gonna go through it real quick with my main man, Carlton Banks. Man, Carlton Banks got a few things that he wants to ask me about, so I'm going to actually star as K-Dub here. I hope he will allow me to, to take his place to kind of go through a few of these things, because it's NBA free agency period. True that. Today is July 1st. July 1st every year in the NBA is when a lot of the contracts can be negotiated, but they actually aren't going to be consummated until the 10th.
See, there you go with them big words again.
Well, I'm articulate, I'm educated. Consummated means they can't be commenced. They can't be, commuted. They cannot.
That's
those are the root words.
On wedding nights, all right? That's what happened on wedding nights. Use it only that time.
No,
right?
You have a very singular articulation. It's singular. This is singular, also known as one-track mind. But
that's all I needed for.
That's
the only time I heard that word.
We got a lot going on in the National Basketball Association, and you said you told when we were talking earlier, you told me that you had a few people that you wanted to ask me about. So I mean, whoever you got, who you want to talk about?
I want to tell you like this: since you want to use these big words, what do you think about the consummation of Chris Paul with his new coach?
Wow, Chris Paul. Well, here's the thing with Chris Paul.
Yeah, if they really consummate, I'm gonna have a problem with that. Again, I know what word how I use that word.
I ain't fooling with you. Chris Paul actually signed $107 million 5-year contract to stay in Los Angeles with the Clippers. Obviously, they can't sign it until July 10th, as I mentioned to you, earlier. They can only negotiate them now. Apparently, it was always his intent to stay there with the Clippers. And that sentiment was only strengthened when the team asked signed Doc Rivers to become the head coach and senior vice president of basketball operations. A lot of people didn't realize that he didn't just come with the head coaching title. He's also going to be, senior VP of basketball operations. Now, what does this do for the Clippers? One, it makes them a strong backcourt by having arguably one of the greatest point guards in the league today, staying there in Los Angeles, playing in the Staples Center. He's definitely going to be the best point guard in the Staples Center. Ain't no question about that, regardless of the other teams. This guy averages 17 and 10, NBA best 2.4 steals a game, Western Conference Player of the Month of December, and the Clippers went 16 and 0. This past season during the month of September. I think it's a great signing. There was a lot of talk of Chris Paul wanting to find his way to New York. Then we know about the toast at Carmelo Anthony's wedding a couple of years ago, and that toast was supposed to consummate. And I said it again. It was supposed to end with Carmelo Anthony, Chris Paul, and I believe LeBron James. All ending up in New York, and obviously we know Carmelo ends up being the only one there. When you see, and I'm going to ask you this, Carlton Banks, when you see Chris Paul stay with the team that he has been playing with, knowing that he's going to get that 5th year that he couldn't get anywhere else, it ends up becoming a money deal as far as I can see it. Do you see anything different?
This is what I say. I see you keep a floor general that can get the ball up and down the court, and get you about 13 assists per game kind of numbers, gets his scores, gets his points, gets his teammates involved, and that's the biggest thing you want from a Chris Paul situation. It continues to build team continuity. The biggest downfall I see in all of that, though, is the fact that you got Doc Rivers, who's never coached him before. To my knowledge, he's never coached him before. He's probably played against him, but how many times does the East play the West during a full game season.
Yeah. Chris Paul played his whole career in the Western Conference, starting with New Orleans and now with the Clippers. I don't know that that'll be that big of a deal, though, Carlton, simply because, a coach should be able to coach anybody.
That's true. But see, you see coaches go to teams that cater to their needs. If you look at Phil Jackson went to a team that had a center that could pass the ball, a decent power forward, and a 2 guard. He really didn't have a 1 guard in any of the teams he played with. Even with Chicago, the best thing he had as a 1 was BJ. And heck, BJ brought the ball up the court and he acted like a 2 guard. So you got coaches that play towards their strengths. That's the biggest thing about any coach in the league and whatnot.
What else we got?
Well, you know what? Let's stay in the West for right now.
Okay.
Can Dwight Howard play with Miami?
Wow, Dwight Howard.
I'm just saying. Can we get him in Miami? I'd like to see him as a Heatle.
Yeah, it's not. That ain't gonna happen. Here are the teams that are in play for Dwight Howard. You've got obviously the incumbent Los Angeles Lakers. You've got the Houston Rockets. You've got the Dallas Mavericks. You've got the Golden State Warriors, and and you've got the hometown Atlanta Hawks. Now, the Lakers got billboards and all this kind of stuff trying to get him to stay there. And here's the thing with that. There's certain franchises that shouldn't have to recruit their own players. For example, the Yankees was out their damn mind when they threw all that money at A-Rod because they were bidding against themselves. You ain't got to do all that. You are the Yankees. You either want to play with us or you don't want to play with us. And if you don't want to play with us, then get your ass out of this town. That's first thing. The Yankees, of course, in my analogy, are the Lakers. This is a franchise that has a lineage of the greatest centers in the history of the game, going back to George Mikan when they played in Minneapolis. They got the name not because they was in Los Angeles. They got the name Lakers because it was many lakes in Minneapolis, okay? So that's where you start. Right. George Mikan, Wilt Chamberlain, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Vlade Divic. Vlade Divic. I'm not going to put Vlade in there, but I appreciate that you did. Shaquille O'Neal and Dwight Howard could be in that lineage. But here's the thing that Kobe Bryant alluded to this week. If we got to have these conversations, then he don't want to be here. And that's cool. If you don't want to be here, then get your ass on. Really. That dude is a drama queen. And I'll be honest with you, disclaimer comment, sexist statement, S.Y. Butler, but I don't like diva dudes. I just don't. If you're going to be a diva, be a chick. But don't be no diva dude, man. Make your mind up. Don't say that I want to get traded from Orlando, then sign the extension to stay in freaking Orlando. Seriously? So, when you bring up Dwight Howard, Carlton Banks, I get a little bit fired up. Chances of him staying in La La Land to me are not that high because we know that he didn't get along that well with Kobe Bryant.
Right.
I don't see him going to Dallas because Dallas are in a rebuilding period. The only player that anybody that can name down there other than Vinsanity is Dirk. And Dirk's 35 on the back end of his career. He ain't going to Dallas, y'all. He's just not. Then that leaves you Golden State. Golden State is a good potential landing spot for them. They play in the Bay Area, Oakland/San Francisco. They got one of my favorite players of all times as their head coach in Mark Jackson. They got a great nucleus with one of my favorite Knicks of all time, David Lee, playing the number 4. They got a great backcourt with Stephen Curry back there and Michael Thompson's little boy, whose first name is escaping me. But, Golden State would be a good sleeper spot for him to fall in. I don't think he's going there, but I think it would be a good fit for him.
He's going to go to a team that has a big market. Golden State, even though they are in the 3rd team in California, it's not a big market.
I agree with that. But here's the thing. You don't have to be in a big market to make your money because LeBron James became the greatest player on the planet playing in Cleveland.
Yeah, but he started there as a rookie.
Okay. Well, I guess the next name that I'm about to throw at you is you just defeated that argument by what you just said. I was going to give you Kevin Durant and OKC.
Yep.
But I don't know that the way the media and the NBA is now that where you play matters as much as it would have, say, 10, 15 years ago. But here's where I think he will end up. And here's where I think he should end up. I think he should go to Houston. Here's why he should go to Houston.
Okay.
Got Kevin McHale there as the head coach.
True.
One of the greatest inside players in the history of the sport, Hall of Famer. You got legendary player Yao Ming who can come and show him some moves.
I thought he retired.
He retired, but
okay.
Legendary player can come show him some moves. You got Hall of Famer who has people pay him to come and learn moves from him and Hakeem Olajuwon. This dude charged $50,000 a week to show inside moves. And he got a built-in Robin by coming there and James Harden. So I think that Houston would be a good landing spot.
Is your boy still down there?
Jeremy Lin is.
No.
Jeremy Lin is.
Patrick.
No, Patrick actually is Patrick Ewing.
Yeah.
He is now the lead assistant head coach in Charlotte.
Okay.
Michael Jordan just signed him. So that's the news on Dwight Howard. We also know that there was a blockbuster trade that sent a couple of guys from wearing green and white to black and white. You want to give me some names?
Yo, you know what? I saw that one and I was kind of hurt from the simple fact I like to see a player stay with a team his entire career. Dude, I'm not feeling that trade. I mean, I know what I'm leading to. I'm being slow in saying it, but I just can't say it. I can say one of the names, KG. I can say that name.
Kevin Garnett and Paul Pierce were traded along with Jason Terry.
No, that's like Larry Bird being traded to the Lakers or somebody, dude. No.
For the record, I agree with you. And it's rare. That's why I can't believe I'm agreeing with Carlton Banks right now.
I know.
And it's hurting my tonsils to be able to say the words. I agree with you, but actually I do. And it's a business. We all know that it's a business. We know that Wilt Chamberlain was not a lifelong Laker. Wilt Chamberlain started in Philadelphia. We also know that Michael Jordan wasn't a lifelong Bull. He finished his career in Washington. So it happens. Charles Barkley ended up becoming a journeyman at the end of his career, playing for at least 3 teams that I could think of off the top of my head. Even Patrick Ewing didn't finish his career in New York. So it happens, and I'd be curious to see what happens in Brooklyn. On paper, they got one of the best starting lineups in the league. You got Darren Williams, you got Paul Pierce, you got Joe Johnson, you got Kevin Garnett, and you got I can't think of the curly head light skinned boy.
I don't know.
Brooke Lopez. So on paper it can work, but I'll be honest with you, I'm a New York Knicks fan. I ain't scared of nobody. Mm-hmm. We get our asses beat a lot more than we get wins, but I ain't scared of nobody.
And you ain't scared of nobody. So does that mean your new pickup for your what's they called? New York Knucklebuckers?
We're not gonna do that. That's why you see them, right? We're not gonna do that.
Nicarackers?
Since we got SY, we got SY in the butler. Before I answer that question, because I am gonna come back to the Knicks trading for Andrea Bargnani. What's your team? In the interest of full disclosure, Miss Butler, who squad you repping?
I like Chicago.
Oh my God!
Look, black and red.
And she's wearing black and red tonight.
Yeah,
she came in here repping Chicago. So I'm gonna put you on the spot, and I didn't tell you I was gonna ask you this, but I'm gonna ask you anyway.
And I know what you're gonna ask.
I'm gonna ask you anyway. So why don't you?
Think it is.
Yeah. All right. Well, good. Then I'm glad. Since you already know, then let me just is Derrick Rose gonna play a game before we get a new president of the United States?
So that hurt.
See, that hurt. He just look. Thank you for coming and joining us today.
Okay, I'm leaving now.
Go ahead and insult you right now. And you ain't coming back. She ain't coming back.
There's some nice parting gifts for you right there.
No.
But Derrick Rose, we know is a great player, and I would have liked to see him play this past year. But the fact that he's going to be coming back next season, I don't want to make this about him. He's not a free agent, obviously. We're talking about the free agents, but I wanted to give you an opportunity to kind of talk about your team for a second. What do you see when they come back? I mean, are they going to be a contender in the Eastern Conference?
I follow it every day, but he's not going to play. But they'll be back.
You think so?
They'll be back.
You think that they can contend with the Miami Heat and potentially give them a run for the Eastern Conference?
Yeah.
Yeah, she does. See,
when
we were talking before, she was giving me all kinds of attitude when she was inside my computer. She's not inside my computer now.
She's not in the computer anymore.
Yeah, she's not in the computer no more.
I went to sleep in my Blues jersey.
Oh, my God. Here we go. But you know what, though? She did know that she's going to come in here tonight on basketball night and during the time of free agency and start asking a whole bunch, and see us talking about the National Basketball Association, and she's going to talk to me about sleeping in her little Bulls jersey. See, I should.
It was such a comfortable sleep.
Yeah. So you know what? Let's go ahead and get off that.
Yeah, let me I'm not gonna mess with it. But Andrea Bargnani traded to the Knicks from the Toronto Raptors. Injury racked season the last 2 years. Number 1 pick in 2006. Has a career average of, I believe, 17-6, I believe. 7-footer. He can shoot. He can keep the floor spread. Only problem I had with this trade was, you had a lot of Knicks fans and people who were observers that said the Knicks gave up a whole lot for Carmelo Anthony. I think I would have literally traded everybody, including the GM and a few fans, to get Carmelo Anthony. I had no problem with that trade. But this one, you trade Marcus Camby and Steve Novak, who gave you nothing pretty much last season. You throw in Quentin Richardson, who was signed literally at the end of the season. So you're not losing much there. But where you lose me is they're giving up 3 draft picks, Carlton Banks.
That's what they bank on. Again, draft picks. The rookies, unless they are the number 1 pick or the number 2 pick, or they do something miraculous, you're not losing anything right now. You're gaining momentum. You're trying to build your squad. You're building for right now. You trade those picks to somebody who you think is going to be there for next season or the season after that. You're just gambling right there. Yeah. They'll get those picks back because they'll probably be a lottery pick.
Well, that's true. I mean, I don't know what level those picks will be at the time, because generally picks are determined by your performance. So they're giving a number 1 and 14, and I believe a couple of second rounders, at least 1 and 16. So we'll see what ends up happening with regards to that. But how it plays out for the Knicks on the floor, I think potentially it could be a good trade in the sense that he will spread out the floor. He may allow Carmelo Anthony to go back to his natural 3 position. He's got injury history, but so does Amari Stoudemire. So when you put those 2 together, hopefully you get one.
You won good season, right?
You get one. Hopefully
you played the first 40. I played the second 40.
Now here's something else. As a what I like to call fall Heatles fan, because that's what you are. You ain't no real sports, NBA fan. You like what I call a faker when it comes to the NBA, but it's okay. But the New York Knicks drafted Tim Hardaway Jr. Last week in the NBA draft. And anybody who knows the rivalry that the Knicks had with the Miami Heat 10 years ago prior to the current generation of players. I mean, we're talking about Patrick Ewing and Allen Houston and Larry Johnson and Latrell Sprewell. We're talking about that Knicks team going against P.J. Scott and Tim Hardaway and Alonzo Mourning. We're talking about that Heat team. Tim Hardaway was probably one of the most hated guys in an opposing jersey in the history of the New York Knicks, rivalries. And we ended up drafting this little boy.
Yeah, do you? How you think Ruben felt the other day when I told him we had signed Darryl Green's son?
You mean
the Cowboys?
The Cowboys signed Darryl Green's son? Really?
Yeah, they signed Darryl Green's son.
Yeah, I know he was probably sick too.
Yeah, he was sick.
It was funny because I saw an interview with Tim Jr. and apparently Tim Sr. ain't got no love in his heart for the New York Knicks. Of course, he'll support his little boy. But he asked him if he gonna come to Madison Square Garden with a Knicks jersey and a Knicks hat. He said, "Hell no, hell no, that ain't going down. Happen. That ain't gonna happen." And you gotta respect him. You gotta respect him for that. But you're a real fan when you hate a guy long after he's gone and retired. So that's what it is. We got one more name on that list. Why don't you give it to me?
We're gonna go. Kyle Korver.
You talking about Kyle Korver? You talking about Ashton Kutcher's doppelganger?
Yeah, it is. It really is. I just got punked.
He looks just like. I need to Google a picture of Kyle Korver because that's why right now it's giving me the face like who, like who?
No, that's that face. She ain't coming back in for him. You even called her out about her Chicago Bulls. You keep thinking that.
Kyle Korver is talking about making the leap to the Brooklyn Nets. Now, here's the good thing. Here's the thing with Kyle Korver. And I'm pulling up his picture. Doesn't he look like Ashton Kutcher? He looks like Ashton Kutcher to me. Like if he walked around with a camera, I don't think anybody would be surprised. But he's a little tall, so that might throw him off. But he's talking about potentially going to the Brooklyn Nets. And I think if that happens, that'll be good for them because that'll give them a scorer off the bench that'll also continue to keep the flow of the offense going. When you take out a guy like Joe Johnson or Paul Pierce, who essentially play the same position, so I'm not sure which one of them would be their number 2 guy. But Kyle Korver, he's a shooter. He's a guy who can play good defense. He's not going to embarrass you. He makes good decisions. So if he ends up going up there like the rumor mill says he might, I think the Brooklyn Nets just, even with that trade, could potentially catapult themselves, to the front half of the Eastern Conference. Now, here's the thing, Carlton Banks, and I'll go ahead and kind of leave it with this. This will be the first time in New York City that you've got two New York teams that are in the same conference that are vying for the division title in a long time. In hockey, you got it, but it hasn't been since you had the Brooklyn Dodgers and the New York Giants in the 50s before they moved to California. So it's going to be fun. It was fun this past season. But I think it'll be fun, going forward, taking myself out of the Knicks fanship for a moment, just looking at it as a peripheral NBA fan. And I'll ask you this, when you look at the prospect of New York City having two teams, and some people like to call New York City the mecca of basketball outside of Indianapolis or Indiana where it was founded, you got things like Rucker Park and a lot of the greater, smaller point guards coming from New York City. When you look and you see Brooklyn and New York both having viable teams that not only can win the division, but also could potentially go to the conference finals, and depending on how the chips fall in the rest of the conference, potentially vie for the NBA title. As a peripheral NBA fan, what's your thoughts when you think about that?
Well, one thing is this. When you have those two home teams playing against each other, you're bringing in a lot of revenue. And that's one of the things that both the NBA is going to like, that's what the city's going to like, and that's what whatever stadium the game is being hosted in is going to like. Also, what that derives potential sales where a jersey for a player may not sell here, but hey, it's going to sell there. You want to see that rivalry build up. When Jay-Z had let the squad go that time, maybe he'll show up and they'd be playing his music in the stadium or something, or somebody come out to something that Jay-Z posted. It's certain things about certain players and certain marquee names that really catches a person's ear or eye and makes them drive to go see the game, that kind of thing. Personally, keep it down my Heatles. I'm a Heatles fan. Don't ask me.
No, I could dig. I could dig.
Keep me down south.
No, I could dig it. For me, everything comes back to them. But I do think that it is a fair question, particularly with the fact that it's not been that way. That's why I'm gonna ask you a question. Not so much an NBA question, but more of a general one. We know that Sean Carter, also known as Jay-Z, was one of the, and I'll give him credit, founding members of the Brooklyn Nets. Of course, he was part of the group that wanted to move them from New Jersey over to Brooklyn, which was very successful. And if you look at the swag and how things went with how the team played out this first year, it had a lot of his fingerprints on it. However, he divested not a lot, he divested all of his ownership in the team so that he can become a sports agent. Carlton Banks can help me with some of the big names that he signed, like Victor Cruz is one for the New York Giants, and recently Kevin Durant and some other players. What's your thoughts? I don't know if you're a hip hop fan or not, but when you see a guy like Jay-Z, who started off by all accounts a crack dealer, who made some records, and next thing you know he is married to the most famous woman in R&B music and owned an NBA franchise, and now he's about to be a sports agent. I don't want to get too far away from NBA, but when you think about that whole progression, what is your thought about that?
I think he's going to make lots of money. I think he's going to do very well.
Yeah.
He did the math.
He did very well as a rapper coming from where he was. They're going to flock to him just because he is Jay-Z. He makes fantastic business decisions, and they're going to flock to him just because it's going to be an easy thing for him.
I'll be honest with you. You just touched on something that, I hadn't really thought about, makes good business decisions. When the last time he did anything that failed? You know what I mean? Like, everybody failed.
Can I tell you?
Tell me. All right, cool. Tell me.
That baby name. Blue Orchid.
He did fail.
Blue Ivy.
Yeah. But I tell you, what was a bigger fail? Northwest. Kanye and Kim, name that baby North.
Yo.
As in the direction north.
Yo.
Ain't no half stepping with Marcus J.
Well, you joking. They said they grew up only to rise up high. Why they have a picture of the Northwest airplane flying overhead of that picture?
Yeah, I'm not feeling them. 804-402-2893 to be part of the discussion. I'm so glad to have S.Y. Butler and Carlton Banks here in the building with me tonight. We're getting ready to take our first break of the night. We got some Michael Jackson family music tonight, y'all. So I'm definitely excited. That's for you, S.Y. and all the Michael Jackson fans. We lost him 4 years ago last Tuesday, so we're going to salute him tonight on Ain't No Half Step on Marcus. Yeah, we got Scream. He's screaming with his baby sister, y'all. I miss my baby sister. I wish I was in here screaming with her. We're going to talk some NFL when we come back, but not on the field, off the field. Marcus J. and I, Steppin back in the